Check her blood pressure again. Keep it steady at 110/70. 92 BPM.
Pressure stable, oxygen 96%.
Good. Keep your eyes on that line. Suction ready. Steady, please.
"19-year-old Aria Mendez leaned close to her reflection, squinting at the tiny black dot on the side of her nose. She'd fought it for days, every selfie ruined by that one stubborn spot. "Just one squeeze," she whispered. The bathroom light buzzed overhead as her fingers pressed in. A faint click echoed through her skin, then a sting that made her flinch. A thin line of blood appeared. And then, something else. Under the light, the dark dot shifted. It didn't pop, it moved. Aria froze, heart pounding. The skin under her fingertip rippled as though something inside her nose twitched back. She stumbled, knocking the mirror with her elbow. The glass cracked. Cut to bright white hospital lights. A nurse's scream sliced through the air. "Doctor, it's moving again." Aria lay on the table, half-conscious, her face pale against the sterile sheet. Something beneath the bandage pulsed, stretching the gauze outward. A surgeon leaned in, tweezers trembling in gloved hands. "Steady." The moment the metal touched her skin, a white filament slid free, glossy, wet, and still writhing. The nurse stumbled back, hand over her mouth. "What is that?" The surgeon's voice cracked. "Not a blackhead." The heart monitor spiked. Aria gasped once, and the screen cut to black. 3 days earlier. Morning sunlight crept through pale curtains, touching posters of movie stars and skincare ads taped to the walls. Aria Mendez sat cross-legged on her bed, scrolling through her phone. Her room smelled of vanilla lotion and hairspray, the signature scent of a 19-year-old who believed every flaw could be fixed if she just tried hard enough. Her best friend Maya sent a snap, "Mirror check. We going out tonight?" Aria zoomed into her own reflection through the front camera. That same tiny black dot caught the light beside her nose. She sighed, switching angles until the blemish disappeared. From the kitchen came her mother's voice. "Aria, you're gonna be late again." 2 minutes. Aria called back, dabbing concealer over the spot. The morning routine unfolded like every other day, toast half-eaten, earbuds dangling, lipstick carefully aligned. Her younger brother ran past, laughing, smearing jelly across the counter. Aria rolled her eyes but smiled. "You're cleaning that later?" "Sure," he said, already gone. For a moment, everything looked ordinary, the gentle hum of the fridge, the clatter of dishes, sunlight glinting off the mirror by the door. But as Aria brushed her hair aside, the light hit her nose differently. For just a second, the blackhead seemed darker, deeper, like an opening instead of a blemish. She blinked, leaned closer. It looked normal again. She shrugged, grabbed her bag, and left. The mirror behind her held a reflection that seemed to linger one blink longer than it should have. That night, Aria stood in front of the bathroom mirror again. Steam curled from the running water, her reflection haloed in soft light. She leaned in close, the black dot still there mocking her. "Not today," she muttered, pressing her fingertip around it. A faint ache pulsed through her skin. She hissed softly, pulling back. Tiny red veins had formed around the pore, branching like cracks on glass. She dabbed it with a cotton pad soaked in toner. It stung harder than usual. A bead of blood surfaced, and then sank back in as if the skin swallowed it. Aria blinked. Weird. She turned away, rummaging for her moisturizer. Behind her, the mirror caught a quick flicker of motion, a ripple under the surface of her nose, subtle but real. When she faced the mirror again, everything looked normal. She exhaled, laughed nervously. "I'm losing it." Her phone buzzed, a message from Maya. "Stop poking it, you'll scar your face." Aria smiled, typing back, "It's fine. Just being dramatic." She didn't notice the faint rhythmic twitch under the skin that made the blackhead pulse once, twice, like it had its own tiny heartbeat. By the next morning, the ache had become a dull throb. Aria touched the side of her nose and flinched. It felt warmer than the rest of her face. She stared into the mirror. The small black dot was now surrounded by a faint swelling, pinkish and tight. She sighed, trying to sound calm. "Okay. Probably just infected. She rummaged through her drawer, pulling out an old acne cream and slathered it on thick. The cool sting brought a second of relief, until she felt a soft tick under the skin. Like a knuckle cracking, deep beneath the surface. She froze. The spot pulsed once. And then, it moved sideways. Aria stumbled back, hand over her nose. No. No way. She turned her face left, then right under the light. It was still there, still tiny, but alive. The rest of the day was a blur. At class, she caught herself scratching her nose over and over. Her friend Maya frowned. Girl, stop. It's bleeding. Aria laughed nervously. It's just dry skin. That night, she woke to a faint itching that wouldn't stop. The room was dark, phone screen glowing 2:47 a.m. In the silence, she could hear it, a faint crackle like rice paper being crushed, coming from inside her skin. She ran to the mirror, flicking on the light. The spot looked glossy now, stretched thin, almost translucent. Beneath it, a pale thread-like shape shifted gently, tracing tiny patterns just under the surface. Aria's breath hitched. Please, stop. She pressed the skin flat, it twitched again faster. She stumbled backward, nearly knocking her toothbrush cup to the floor. Her hands trembled as she grabbed her phone and opened the camera app. In the lens, the tiny bump seemed to shimmer faintly, as though something beneath her skin was reflecting light back at her. The camera blinked once for focus. And in that one frozen frame she could swear she saw an eye, small, white, and watching her from under the surface. The next morning the kitchen smelled of coffee and toast. Aria stood at the counter, sunglasses perched on her nose, her long hair swept forward to hide her face. Her mother, Elena, glanced up from her laptop. Since when do you wear those indoors? Light's too bright, Aria said quickly. Elena raised an eyebrow. You're not getting sick, are you? I'm fine. Her younger brother dropped into a chair with a bowl of cereal. Mom, she's turning into a vampire. Aria forced a laugh but kept her head low. The itch beneath her skin hadn't stopped all night. Every heartbeat made it feel tighter, fuller, as though something underneath her face was breathing with her. Elena noticed the faint redness near the edge of the glasses. Sweetheart, what's that on your nose? Aria froze. Nothing. Let me see. Aria stepped back. It's just a zit, Mom. Please don't freak out. Her mother sighed, setting her mug down. You need to stop picking at it. I'll book a dermatologist if... I said it's fine. Aria snapped, voice sharper than she meant. The room went still. Her brother looked up, eyes wide. Aria's breath came fast. I'm sorry. I didn't sleep well. She grabbed her bag and left, the door clicking behind her. Elena watched her go, frowning. For a long moment, she thought she saw something shimmer faintly through her daughter's hair. A soft white pulse that disappeared as soon as the sunlight hit her face. Aria sat on the bus, forehead pressed to the window. The city blurred past in streaks of gray and gold, but her mind drifted somewhere else, back to the weekend before it all started. 3 weeks earlier. The sun had burned low over Riverside Park, and Aria and Maya were sprawled on a blanket near the water. They joined an influencer's natural skincare challenge, filming themselves trying homemade masks made with local clay. See? Maya laughed, smearing a thick line across Aria's nose. Organic detox, clears your pores overnight. Aria had rolled her eyes but played along, posing for the camera. The air smelled of algae and rain, the river shimmered in the background like glass. Neither of them noticed the tiny warning sign half buried in mud. Caution, contaminated water, industrial runoff. That night, as they rinsed off the masks in the river, the water felt strangely warm, almost electric. Maya yelped. Did you feel that? Probably fish, Aria said, laughing. She remembered the slight sting that followed, a microscopic cut on her nose, brushed off before she went to sleep. By morning, it had sealed into what looked like a harmless blackhead. Now, staring out the bus window, she rubbed that same spot, feeling the faint throb beneath it. She whispered under her breath, "It started there, didn't it?" Outside, the river flashed in the distance, calm, shining, and quietly toxic. The bathroom light flickered. Aria stood barefoot on the cold tile floor, one hand gripping the sink to steady herself. The blackhead had doubled in size overnight, swollen, glossy, and faintly quivering, like a drop of water trapped under glass. Her reflection looked pale and unfamiliar, eyes ringed with sleeplessness. Okay, she whispered, you're not crazy. Just infected. She grabbed her phone and turned on the camera to zoom in. The image trembled. The black dot shimmered, Then a faint, crawling line traced under her skin from the bridge of her nose toward her cheekbone. She dropped the phone. No, no, no. Heart hammering, she reached for her small makeup tweezers. The tip brushed the bump, and the skin twitched violently as if something underneath recoiled. She froze, staring. Then, slowly, the dot inched upward. It moved on its own, dragging a pale curve beneath the surface, like a tiny worm gliding just beneath living glass. Aria screamed. She stumbled backward, colliding with the shower curtain. The tweezers clattered into the sink. A droplet of clear fluid slid down from the spot, glinting faintly under the light. Inside it, for one impossible moment, she saw movement, something twisting, silver-white, thin as thread. The room spun. Her knees hit the floor. She stared up at her reflection, still trembling, and whispered, "What the hell is happening to me?" The lights above her blinked once, and the last thing she saw before the screen faded to black was her reflection twitching a second after she'd stopped moving. The emergency room smelled of antiseptic and metal. Aria sat beneath the harsh white lights, her hoodie drawn tight, fingers twisting the edges of a tissue soaked in blood. A young resident, Dr. Rowan, studied the swollen mark near her nose with clinical detachment. When did this start? 3 weeks ago. It was small, just a blackhead. Any pain? Yes. It moves. He chuckled nervously. You mean it feels like it moves? Aria met his eyes. No. It moves. He hesitated, then called for another doctor. Within minutes, the small exam room filled with quiet tension, the kind that meant something didn't fit any known explanation. Dr. Rowan cleaned the area with antiseptic. It's superficial, he said. We'll numb it, extract the core, and send it for testing. He pressed gently around the swollen skin. A faint pulse beat beneath his glove, slow, deliberate. He froze. Do you feel that? Aria nodded, voice trembling. I told you. The nurse beside him leaned in. Sir, it's pulsing on its own. Dr. Rowan stepped back, trying to steady his tone. Okay. Let's prep a sample. He reached for the scalpel. As the blade grazed her skin, the swelling rippled, pushing outward against the pressure. The nurse gasped, dropping her tray. Under the bright light, something inside the wound shimmered, a thin, coiled strand of white sliding just beneath the surface, alive and responsive. The doctor's face drained of color. This isn't an infection. He glanced toward the monitor. The heart rate wasn't hers, it was its own. The operating room buzzed with tense whispers. Bright light flooded Aria's pale face as she lay still under mild sedation. Her mother stood behind the glass, trembling, watching through the observation window. Dr. Rowan pulled his mask higher, voice low. Local anesthesia only. Keep her stable. The nurse nodded, eyes wide. The instruments gleamed under the light. Tweezers, forceps, a thin suction line. A red mark glistened at the edge of Aria's nose, the swollen skin tight and glimmering with faint movement beneath. Rowan steadied his breath and pressed lightly. The lump pulsed once, like a heartbeat responding to touch. The nurse flinched. Did it just? Yes, he whispered. Hold her steady. He made a small incision. For a moment nothing happened. Then a clear fluid seeped out, thick, shimmering with silver streaks. The nurse handed him the suction tube, but he waved it off. Wait. Under the bright beam, something curled inside the wound. Thin. White. Segmented. It uncoiled slowly, pressing against the opening as though seeking air. Rowan grabbed the forceps. I've got it. He pulled gently, resistance, then release. A slender, translucent filament slid out, glistening, twisting like it was alive. The nurse gasped, stumbling back. It's moving. Rowan's voice cracked. Keep recording, don't look away. Another section emerged, longer this time, writhing like a pale thread pulled from deep tissue. It stretched almost 5 inches before snapping free, slapping against the tray with a wet sound. Aria whimpered faintly, half-conscious. Her pulse spiked. The thing on the tray writhed once more, curling into itself, glinting under the sterile light like something part biological, part metallic. Then it went still. The nurse whispered, voice shaking. What is that? Dr. Rowan swallowed hard. Something that wasn't supposed to exist. Behind the glass, Elena covered her mouth. Her eyes filled with tears as the monitors beeped erratically, one sound blending with another until the room became a storm of alarms. Aria's body jerked once and then relaxed. The surgeon looked up, pale, trembling. It's over, he said quietly. But the nurse, staring at the tray, whispered back. No, doctor, it's blinking. The hospital room was dim, lit only by the green pulse of the monitor. Aria stirred, her throat dry, her skin bandaged. For a moment she didn't remember where she was, until the sterile smell hit her and everything rushed back. Her mother sat beside her, eyes swollen, holding her hand. "You're safe," Elena whispered. "They got it out." Aria blinked slowly. Her voice cracked. "It's gone?" Her mother hesitated. "They think so." Through the glass partition, doctors spoke in low tones. One held a sealed vial containing what they had extracted. The white thread floated inside the preservative fluid, curled like a question mark. Dr. Rowan looked exhausted. When Elena caught his eye, he shook his head. "We don't know what it is," he admitted. "It's not parasitic DNA, and not synthetic either. It reacts to light, but dies in darkness." Aria turned her face toward the window. Rain slid down the glass in thin, trembling lines, each drop mirroring the motion of what had once moved beneath her skin. "I can still feel it," she whispered. "Like it's still there." Elena squeezed her hand tighter. "It's just the medicine, honey. Rest." But as Aria closed her eyes, the heart monitor beeped twice, slow, steady, out of rhythm with her pulse. She didn't notice. Her mother didn't either. Only Dr. Rowan, pausing in the hallway, heard the faint metallic tick that echoed once through the quiet. He stared at the monitor, pale, and whispered to himself, "It's still listening." People think danger looks like monsters or darkness. But sometimes, it hides in mirrors, in the small things we keep touching even after they hurt. When I look at my reflection now, I don't see what I used to fix. I see what I refused to listen to. It started with vanity, one tiny imperfection I couldn't ignore. A single dot that told me to stop and I didn't. Maybe that's how it always begins. We confuse pain with inconvenience. I kept thinking I could control it. That a mirror would tell me the truth if I stared long enough. But mirrors don't tell the truth. They tell what you want to believe. Now, when I touch my face, I remember the sound it made, that tiny pulse reminding me that not everything beneath the skin belongs to us. Sometimes what we call flaws are warnings. Sometimes they're the body's way of saying, something deeper is wrong. The danger wasn't the blackhead. It was the silence that followed when I told myself it was nothing. The screen fades to the dim glow of a hospital hallway. A slow heartbeat echoes beneath the silence. Aria survived. But some stories don't end with what doctors remove, they end with what they leave behind. A close-up shows Aria's reflection in the window, her bandaged nose catching the light. For a single frame, her reflection blinks half a second late. Maybe you've ignored something too. A mark, a pain, a warning sign that seemed too small to matter. Don't wait for it to grow. Don't let silence decide what happens next. The heartbeat slows. Text fades in over black. If this story made you think twice, share it. You might help someone listen before it's too late. The final sound is a faint metallic tick, barely audible under the last heartbeat. And then silence.